Okay, hi everyone. This is week 4 review. Uh, it's been a very intense week. It's been very filled with things to discuss and talk about with all of you. As usual, I will start with also, I've just been to yoga. This was my first time in 4 months, and it feels so good on my body. It feels stretched and supple, and the energies, the chakras are moving inside of me, and finally I'm getting more and more in touch with my body. But so, as usual, I want to start with the book. So, this week was about honest changes, real feelings against official feelings. And she makes this distinction in terms of, common answers like, I'm okay, I'm fine. Whereas you actually would not be feeling fine. And that would be the official feeling, what's lying underneath. And to be honest, I've never really had a problem with this. I sometimes feel the whole, how are you situation to be quite, I guess, superficial. People just ask it out of respect, out of introduction maybe, but I've always really literally understood the question as, how are you feeling right now? And then I would have to shorten the answer because my official feelings will be very clear to me. And then she basically goes over she explains further why we're doing the morning pages. So every day, wake up and I write 3 to 4 long form stream of consciousness words, whatever is inside of me, as a way to clean. That's how it feels to me, as a way to clean and clarify what's going on for you on that specific day. And it's a big commitment, doing it every day. But I have, apart from one day this week, which was my first, I don't want to call it failure, but yeah, I missed it one day. But anyway, so she says the morning pages perform spiritual chiropractic. So loud. Isn't that fantastic? They realign our values. We will become aware of our drifts and then correct them, if only to hush the pages up. And basically she says that this was not my experience, but some people get very angry with the whole morning pages, and so they use anger, and then actually this anger being put on the page is the perfect solution in that specific moment for that person. Then Chekhov says this incredible thing. Chekhov is a very famous playwright. All of us actors have done some Chekhov at some point in our lives. But he said this: if you want to work on your art, work on your life. That really made me think and really moved things inside. I guess that's the whole point of being an artist. You just deal with life, you learn, you grow, you create to deal with the emotions arising because of life, and then that's the work of art. I'm thinking of Edith Piaf, Hymne à l'amour and La Foule and Padam Padam, all of these incredible songs she wrote out of a reaction to what her circumstances, the times that she was living in, did for her. Don't know what that was, but it was there, and we shall not edit it out. Then Julia Cameron talks about a kriya, a Sanskrit word meaning a spiritual emergency or surrender. And she defines them as spiritual seizures. And I've had experiences with these before, not on this particular week, like the universe, the angels, someone high up there shakes things up, sometimes in a violent way, to bring you back on course because you've been off track for a while. I have an anecdote from my personal life and then one from a very close friend of mine, which is more recent. But the one I had was about my ex-boyfriend. I'm not going to name him, but we were living in Rome and Italy together at the time, and I was sort of living in Italy post-COVID, not sure what I was doing. Art was on the side, just sort of a bit lost. And something happened. Just one day we were having guests over. We were preparing like a whole like board games evening dinner place event in my house. And for some reason, my ex decided to run for the door, and there were stairs involved, to open the door at some guests arriving. And he had never run in his life. He'd never done it. So it was very bizarre that he did on that day. And he fell from the stairs and had 4 broken bones in his arm. Didn't want to go to the hospital. I sort of forced him to go. And he stayed the whole night without going to the hospital, just sort of blue in the face and shaky. And eventually he did go, and he had a cast for 3 months. And that really was the beginning of the end of our relationship. Without getting into too much detail, basically him having a cast and being partially disabled and me having to take care of him and not really managing to, brought out the end of that relationship, sort of really fast pushed us towards him eventually breaking up with me, saying goodbye, and then me actually moving back to the UK and then beginning a whole new journey for me. And that was, I think, a kriya, a spiritual seizure. It was just so intense, the arm and the breaking up and the COVID, and there was just, I think, the angels telling me, it's time that you go back. It's time that you follow yourself and follow your journey. So that was really interesting. And then I think the last thing I'm going to share about the sort of theory bit of the book is the reading deprivation. I thought it was just so genius, but I completely failed at it. The reading deprivation is it's literally what it's standing for. You deprive yourself of any input, any distraction, any entertainment. No books, no reading, no news, no TV shows, no films. She says you can still do the exercises and read the book, but that's all you can do for a week. And she says that when she was teaching The Artist's Way at university, her students got so angry and upset, but I need to read, it's part of my job, etc., etc. And then she says, but have you never had those moments where you really have to read or study for an exam and then you just procrastinate? This is exactly the same, but it's the opposite way. And people are very scared of this. I was very scared of it, which is why I didn't really do it. I didn't really do it. I was like, I can't do it. This is such a fragile time in my life. I need to read, and how am I going to pass the time in those dead moments where I'm figuring out what to do next, etc., etc. And so I caught myself every now and again saying, oh, is this a reading deprivation moment that should happen? And I kind of ignored it. So maybe I'm going to try to do it this week. I don't know if I'm ever going to... I will do it by the end of the next 12 weeks. But it's really hard. It's really hard. No social media. Because that's reading to feed your soul with things. And she also says that blocked artists tend to overread, digest news and information, and I've always done that. Am I a blocked artist? I guess partially I am, but I've always just overfed myself with spiritual videos and books, and I'm a curious, avid reader, yes, but also I love the distraction. And so I didn't really do it. And she says basically that reading deprivation casts us into our inner silence, and it's true. There's something that I remember from, I think, high school, which is the difference between these two Latin words, otium and negotium. Otium means idleness, like the famous Spanish siesta, like post-lunch, let me just sleep in my hammock, chilling out vibes. And then negotium, which means shop in Latin, is otium with otium, which is the opposite. So it's like, I think stands for no idleness. So it's productivity and doing and being active. And basically in life we need both otium and negotium, and we don't really allow the otium to come as much nowadays, especially. And so in otium, that's when you get the most incredible ideas, when you do nothing. And funnily enough, when I was in Barcelona, I was 21, one-way ticket from Rome to Barcelona. I was quite alone at some point over the period of those 7 months. And in that solitude, which was very painful, I started songwriting for the first time ever. And looking back, I'm thinking, if that hadn't happened, that otium, those empty days where I was just, what am I going to do with my day today? Had those not happened, would I have still started songwriting, writing music? I don't know. But that's interesting. So let's see if I'll be able to do reading deprivation soon. I guess, yeah, whatever. So that's done. What else? Well, this sort of week check-in, she asks how many morning pages have you done? Did you do your artist date? I did do my artist date. I went to the Yard Theatre last night, which is very nearby in Hackney Wick, and I saw the most incredible, oh my god, play I've ever seen. A three-hander. The main character was, the actress was just incredible, such stage presence. The theme was about grief and death, and my grandmother passed away 3 days ago, so I've been dealing with that as well. She was the first person to die in my life. So it was all about a funeral, this play, and I was really connecting and crying. And did you experience any synchronicity this week? I think this was the synchronicity, sort of finding a play 5 minutes away from my house on a solo artist date that deals with grief, and it's theatre, which is a big passion of mine, and I have been acting on stage for 10 years, 12 years. I used to do it when I was really young, and so there was this whole like full circle moment of like, oh my god, this is powerful, I want to be part of this. But also as an audience, I did a huge standing ovation. I don't really want to get into it, like why it was so special. It was just real. It was real, it was pacey, it was great acting, great accents, the way that it was written and portrayed and directed, those works of art where you're just like, this is perfect, and I feel so nourished by it. But yeah, so that was my artist date for the week. And also, yeah, I wanted to add this interesting, also maybe synchronical moment. I was sitting and I got my ticket, and then more people came, and there was 2 people on my left and 2 people on my right, and they were all together, and they were this whole group, and I was sort of blocking the group. And she was like, oh, like, are you waiting for someone? Because there was an empty seat near me. And I was like, no, I'm on a solo artist date. I said it. And I felt like the embarrassment, the shame, like coming up, like, oh my god, I've just said it. And then I sort of like reclaimed it quite quickly. I owned it. I was like, yeah, I'm doing this. I believe in what I'm doing. And I said, do you want to sit all together? I can move. And they were like, oh, thank you. So I moved. And if that had happened, I guess, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, I would have been mortified. Like, absolutely, just, yeah, like it would have really affected me. But this time I was like, no, I'm owning it. So that was a beautiful moment, I thought. Another synchronicity thing that I've experienced this week was numbers. I've seen quite a lot of same numbers, which is something. I mean, as soon as I said that, it was 1414 on the video. Numbers have been a big part of my spiritual awakening 3 years ago, and I feel like they sort of stopped for a while, and white feathers came instead as a symbol. And now they're back, so I'm wondering what that means. And then she asks, were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? And I want to not just talk about the issues, but also like happy things that happened. I had a bit of a views obsession this week. me and my friend Jimmy, we posted reactions to Lady Gaga's songs, and they got really like viral. Like his video went super viral, mine less. Still, we just got really like obsessed with the whole, oh my god, how do we monetize this, how do we make more views? And it got really draining for me, like really in my head, not feeling inventive. Short form videos, not my favorite way to express myself. And so I was really like dealing with that. I also started therapy this week. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that was also like a big part of my, it's a big part of my recovery, I guess, right? So yeah, so that was like something that I dealt with, this like views obsession. But then something really positive that happened was that I shared my music, my new songs, which I'm going to record in the studio in 2 weeks with an amazing, is it next week? It's next week, with my fantastic producer. And I shared the song with my graphic designer. He's going to do the visuals. And then with a long-term friend of mine, basically people that hadn't heard my new music, and they were obsessed. They were so excited. They loved it. And just seeing and feeling that feedback got me into this like really exciting, intense, yummy place where I'm like, okay, I can do this. This is good. I'm on the right track. And then I get so impatient. I get so frustrated. Things feel so slow in my life. They've always felt so slow. I always go so much faster than then my reality matches up. And I don't know, it really frustrates me actually. In one of those, in the morning pages, I just went, I hate this and I hate this and I hate this. And for like 4 pages, I almost just wrote about everything that I hate. This goes back into the anger and frustration. I guess that's just how it is, right? I feel like there's no conclusion in these videos. I'm just sharing. Should I reach a conclusion? There is none. There absolutely is no conclusion whatsoever. I will end this video with the exercises for the week that are unique for that week. First one is environment. Describe your ideal environment. Town, country, cozy. Write 1 paragraph, then print an image of this place and put it in your lovely diary notepad. So I don't have the picture, it has to be printed, but this is what I wrote. Fantastic. And I actually built the image with AI image generator. I just wrote it down and up it went. I've got it. It's quite fantastic. Don't know how I feel about AI, but sometimes it's great. So it's a beach town with enough stuff to do, but also the wild and the nature very present. It's like a London, but with tropical climate, a mixture of Bangkok and Barcelona, and I lived in both cities. It's modern, but wild. Lovely sunsets, motorbikes. Summer is my favorite season. Yeah, so there's fashion, colors, warmth. That is my ideal place, and it's been so grim here in London, and it's made me really, really sad. It's been glacial. It's been absolutely glacial. But then I think this is where I feel I need to be to make things happen, you know? My connections are here. My business ideas are here. I don't know. And then there was a time travel. Write a letter to your 80-year-old self. Sorry, write a letter as your 80-year-old self to your now self. Then write a letter to your now self from your 8-year-old self. I will not get into the letters. I'm just going to tell you what I will be doing as an 80-year-old. I wrote, I love being with my granddaughters. And I am smoking lovely cigarettes. You know, I'm 80 years old. I don't have to fucking sing anymore, be healthy, whatever. I can just smoke my cigarettes in peace, living in a beautiful terrace, in a beautiful mansion, and just doing films, doing like indie films, acting in European, dramatic, like Isabelle Huppert. I know she's not 80, but that sort of pace in life, gorgeous, intense art, using my wisdom for the films and telling stories. And, you know, my 8-year-old self, She was basically saying, what were your favorite things? What would you tell yourself now? I got really like, not morbid, but like, will mommy love us? Will daddy leave us? There you go. Last thing I want to share with you is, do I want to share the artist's prayer? No, I will not. I will keep it as a mystery. But yes, there is an extended artist date to be planned. Plan a small vacation for yourself, 1 weekend day. Get ready to execute it. I'm like, ugh. Being like traveling alone like that. I should. I want to commit. I've been eyeing Canterbury. Is it Canterbury? Anyway, famous medieval little town. It's 1 hour from here. I could go this weekend, but it takes a lot of courage, especially if I want to do the reading deprivation, sort of not being able to read or anything, just being in the present moment by myself for a day away from home. It's challenging, it's tough, it's really tough, but I'll let you know next week if I've done it, I guess. Thank you for watching. This was a slightly longer video. I didn't think it was going to be, but it's really cathartic and really joyful for me to share these things with you. Sending love. Goodbye.